Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, the Blue Muffin Viburnum. Okay, so here's the scoop. If you've been watching my channel religiously, you'll maybe recognize that the Viburnum I've done before, and the Blue Muffin I've done before, which is also called the Arrowwood Viburnum. Well, that's this one. So it's not that one. A few episodes ago, I worked on what I thought was the Blue Muffin Viburnum, but it in fact is not. I mixed up my cards, and being it was after the winter, I had no leaves to go on, there was no berries on the trees, the shrubs, and I mixed them up. So here we go. This one is the Mohican Viburnum. Yeah, the Viburnum lantana. So the Mohican. This will have some red berries, and it has a little bit bigger leaves than the other Viburnums, and that is one of the downfalls of the Viburnums, but should have some really cool red berries, and it has this kind of whitish trunk here. We have it in the box. We did this one. Let's show you a quick little highlight of this while I get this set up for the new one. So we've got the Viburnum here, and I was super excited to find these trees at the nursery last year for great discounted prices. Look at this. Is this a 20, 30 gallon pot? And so the Viburnums, I've been starting to do some research on them, and I found these great looking trees, bought them, because I've learned if you don't buy them and come back, they're gonna be gone, right? We're just gonna put it something like about there. So I need wires to kind of go over this way to secure this tree because of the lack of roots on this side and the lack of roots on this side. We're gonna go ahead and put it so it goes over the structure there. So this thing is going to butt back a lot, I'm suspecting. They're growing everywhere, so this will be really fun to see. This one's going at a super weird angle. I'm just going to cut that off. I'm going to leave this go right now. I don't want to do any more to this tree. I want the growth that is existing to feed the roots. I want the roots to feed what's trying to grow, and we'll just leave that and call it a day. So there we have a Viburnum, and super fun and exciting to get this one in a pot. I can't wait to see this one leaf out. Now, with all the varieties that I've gotten, I'm gonna have to double check which ones might flower this spring, which ones might have fruit in the fall, and which ones change colors in the fall, because I got 3 different varieties. It's gonna be a really fun year with experimentation. My apologies for the error. I gotta take better record keeping, right? So now we're gonna work on the Blue Muffin, which is the Arrowwood Viburnum. And this one is gonna have this luxuriously blue berries on here, if they berry. And the leaves, again, a little bit larger on this one, but not as large as that one, if I remember right from last fall when I picked these up. So we are now working on the Arrowwood. That over there was the Mohican. Yeah, we'll leave that there just to try to keep me in check. The bonus with this one is we have this guy right here, a little bit thicker than pencil thick maple tree that just happened to be grown in this pot. We'll see what the roots look like. We'll keep it for one of the future forests, because I think I have some dieback in one of my trees, or one of the either the forest trees or the trees that I was going to put into a forest. Okay. One of the nice things about these Viburnums that I've learned through my internet searching is their hardiness. We've got from zones 2 to 8 on this species right here, and the other ones are 3 to 8. So here in the upper Midwest, in Minnesota specifically, I know this will be able to be sticking outdoors, Minnesota hardy, if I choose to put it outside and not in a cold frame, which I should be able to if I have a big enough pot and I can kind of heal it in a little bit in that late fall, winter. Maybe get some mulch around it and support this roots. But at to 40 below zero, I think our roots are going to be fine. Here in Minnesota, we very rarely have hit even 20 below in the last several years. And this year we barely were below zero, but a week or so there, that one stretch. So we've got a lot of roots in here. We're gonna dig this out. Let me take a minute to get this all straightened out, and we'll start talking about how we're gonna put this tree into a pot and what we have to work with. We're just a few minutes in, and the soil is breaking apart real nicely. Good and bad. Good because it's making my job easier. Possibly bad because maybe the roots are maybe not as thick as I'd like. We're not going to completely bare root this viburnum, partially because it's a new species to me. There are a lot of roots on here, so I'm not too worried that it's not going to be a decent grower. But as Peter Chan recently said on one of the episodes I watched on Heron's Bonsai, Peter was talking about, even though in Japan they do a lot of bare rooting with certain species, you know, the Japanese maple and other species, he's not a fan of completely bare rooting a tree. So this is the first time out of the nursery pot, so I definitely want to not go too crazy again with a species I don't know and completely bare root the thing. But one of the most important reasons, there are several reasons we repotted bonsai, but perhaps one of the most important reasons that I've started to hear a lot of the people, and this is professionals in the bonsai community. I've been listening to Bonsai Wire with Michael Hagedorn and Jonas Dupuis, and listening to the podcast, and one of the things they've talked about too, they're strong supporters in repotting any tree that you have in your possession for the first time. So regardless if it's been 1, 2, 3, or 4 years since it's repot, or you have it in a nursery pot, or you got it from you, if you don't know, you know, there's probably a very good reason to go ahead and repot so you can see what the tree has to offer. You can see the health of the root system, and so you know, and from that point forward, you are taking care of your tree the way that you have taken care of it. So all of these trees that are in pots from last year, from nursery pots, we're going to go ahead and repot them up this year so I can see what kind of root structure we have, and we're going to try to get this thing going and improving. Now, this wasn't doing the most tremendous thing in that pot. We got some fine roots, we got some long, thick roots down here, but we also have lots of dieback. We have lots of roots that are just kind of long, they just kind of fall right off. So we're going to clean up all of that, and then we got to hope that this thing is going to kind of recover and do well. Here's the maple tree, and that might be most of the roots. And look at that. It is. The maple tree is most of the roots in this system. So you never know what you're going to get in a pot from the nursery. And here you go. We've got a maple tree that now we can put into a new pot. We'll have to get rid of this taproot down here. And this has a little bit of movement down here in the trunk down here. And then it's pretty stick straight. But it is a maple, and we'll save this for later use here. But then that makes it even more nerve-wracking about this. There's just not a lot of roots on here. So this could have a really tough time surviving what I'm going to do to it. Yeah, so we're going to have to cut away some roots, and then we're going to have to see if we can put this into a pot of some sort, maybe back into a smaller nursery pot that'll hold a lot of pumice. I'll put more pumice in this, and we'll try to get some root recovery. I will definitely keep this into the cold frames until the warmth hits us, because there's very few roots on here that I have to work with. So I'm going to have to be super careful in what I cut off. So let's cut off some roots and then see what's left in the end. And here's another part of that maple tree, or another maple tree that was cut. Look at that. There's a lot of roots on here. that have nothing on them. So we're gonna do our best here to not cut out a lot of fine roots. I'm really afraid to remove any more of these roots. Any of these bigger ones that could be rotted out that I don't know about. But there's no feeder roots on them. I think I'll have to stop right there. So I was listening to a recent podcast, and Andrew Robeson was on there as well. Or no, I'm thinking of a different person. I'm forgetting Alex's name. Perhaps it's an Alex. One of the guys on the Bonsai Wire podcast was talking about how he likes challenges, and he likes to take a tree that might look like nothing to anybody else and turn it into something. So this is a tree with the root system that looks like it's going to be absolutely nothing, or maybe not even survive. Look at, I can shake some of that dirt right out. But I've got enough recycled nursery pots that I'm going to put this in pumice, almost 100% pumice, and we're going to see if we can get some of these roots to take. There's roots on there, just not very many. And then I'm going to cut back pretty heavily because I don't want a whole lot of tree that's alive trying to stay alive with this few roots. So I will cut back this a little bit. So let me go get a nursery pot that's smaller than this, because that's just too much space. So let me get a smaller nursery pot and we will continue. So old pot, new pot, much smaller. We're gonna I put some rocks down here to keep it nice and heavy and to block some of these really big drain holes. And then I'm gonna put my pumice on top of that so I don't lose my pumice. I won't have to wire this guy down. I don't believe I will. Gonna curve this root around. I may have to put a couple rocks in here to hold it steady. See what happens when the pumice is in there. So all of the tamaracks that I have that are going to be going into a forest pretty soon this spring were all put in pumice only. I have sphagnum moss from the area of the bog that I collect the trees in, and we just put pumice in there, trying to keep the extra moisture in there. I don't want to put akadama for the sheer cost of akadama, because akadama would hold the moisture as well. So pumice is a much cheaper way to go, and we're just going to keep this thing very well drained, but very, very well watered. So we'll put a lot of water in here over the course of this spring and make sure it does not dry out with this pumice soil in here. Okay. Not going to be concerned with fronts, backs, sides, exposed anything. We're just getting it into a pot, and we're going to start doing some trimming here. So with so few roots down there to grow on, we're gonna hope for the best, but we're gonna chop this thing down so it doesn't have to work so hard. If it's one thing I've learned about the viburnum so far, just from my pre-trims last year and looking at the branch structure now that all the leaves are gone and I've had a chance to look them over, is they do grow multiple branches from a single node. And what happens if you don't catch them early, I'm discovering, only because of the way it seems to be growing here, is the bulges here where the whorl is can be quite big rather fast. Now this bulge up here isn't too bad, but this one down here, well, it has 3 branches growing here, so no wonder there's a bulge. So it has kind of a rather stick straight look, and then this bulge where it divides. Great that it divides into 3, but there's not as attractive quality here. We get this reverse taper looking thing, so we're gonna take some stuff out. Now this one right here, it shoots off over here, and then it shoots this way, and this comes out this way. This has a little bit more movement on it than this one. And so what you're gonna have to do with a viburnum, if you grab them, is when you have 2 that oppose each other, you're gonna have to go in there and cut them very, very soon. Now a Japanese maple grows that way as well, opposite of each other. And oftentimes people will take the middle branch out, which is what I did with this right here. I did right here, there is one growing. Here's 3 right here. 1, 2, 3. You take one of them off, and usually people take the middle one off and try to get some more ramification and spread that canopy out. Here's 3 right here. Boom, boom, and boom. Now this one is a little bit weaker. This one's medium, and this one's really super thick. I might cut this entire section off so this becomes the new branch right here with not much roots to support the cause. But at the very minimum, I would cut it off up here. I would do that first, because see, then it breaks to 2, and I'll have to get rid of that someday with some work. This one wants to split here and down below it here, so I could then go here and get rid of this one before it gets too much of a bulge. And then up here, these 2 split. I got some buds right below here, buds right below there. I wouldn't want any more than that on this tree, because again, I want this thing to survive. There's buds right below my blade, right below my blade, and here, right below my blade, okay? Right below my blade. Again, I still might cut this off for how little roots I have down there. I might have to do that. I might consider doing that. This one up here splits off into 2, and there's a little tiny one growing here. So if I were to cut this off, this might take off a little bit more. But either way, you see how it goes from here to here? Let's cut it off right here. And we'll give that a chance to take off. And then up top here, I don't know how well this is going to backbud. So it's because it's a new tree to me. So I have to think about these cuts. I think this is just too much. We cut this one here to save this branch, but this one we're just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna lop it off right there. Spring, 'tis the season for a chop. This was the old cut from last year, dry and dead. And again, there is a split right here, and here's the main branch here, and I lopped it off here for this right here. We'll see. I'll leave that alone for right now. This branch right here has here and here. I don't know where this tree's gonna go in the future, but I'm gonna cut off this big middle one. So now I have here and here, but this is more predominant, and this might grow this way, so it won't be this 2 from one side looking type branch. Here's a cut from last fall that's died off. Here's another one right here where there's one in the middle. Looks like it's pretty dry. It's in the middle though, so there's 3 branches there. Either way we cut it. We might even cut the inside one or the left side one. Left to you, right to me. Okay. Okay. So I've cut off about a third, maybe more. This one I could cut back to this branch and we'd have, this is all the same thickness all the way up here, so there's absolutely no taper, so why not get rid of that right here? Let this become the new leader over here. I don't know if this cutter is big enough. I might have to use my knob cutter. I could cut this one off. Oop, this one got broke. I already bumped this one. That makes me make my decision even easier. Let's just do it. Knob cutter, so much more efficient. Clean it up just a little bit. There was a cut here from last year a little bit. There. So we took that big chunk off because we got this and then this. There's movement, but it's really straight there and there, but there is movement, and then it moves this way and this one's moving too. So this one's thinner. We got some chance for bud in here. This one has some movement, but again, I have this big chunk section right here. Do I keep that? I want to get rid of all of it because I want, if I get any buds to get some photosynthesis to send stuff down to the roots, that's good too. I'll cut that one back to there. This one's got buds right there. This one's got buds right here. I'm going to leave that one. This one isn't pretty right here. It's not pretty the way it's staying. There's another bud opposite of it. But we would want the growth on the outside of the curve. It's kind of curving this way. There's a bud right here and maybe a bud that could form there. I think we have to be done. We have to be done. We have so few roots down there. Concerned about how that's going to go. So we have lots of pumice in here. We've made some cuts. We got rid of almost half of the branching, and we'll hope what does bloom, if any does, will support those roots and will rejuvenate this thing for this entire year. We're just going to let it grow. We won't cut it again until later, until next spring more than likely. Unless it grows like wild and I know it's super healthy and saying, hey, I can do this now, I probably won't touch any more cuts on this for the rest of the year. So it's a twin trunk, obviously, and then it splits right here and splits right here. So early ramification. If this is the tree that'll back bud, nice. I'll be able to cut all this back and we'll get a nice little tree here in the future. It's got a little bit of character down at the bottom with a couple of exposed roots. I did cut one bump off, but I got 3 major bumps on here that are kind of interesting. And we'll just have to see what happens with it. So let's give it some water, put it on the bench for a final photo, and we'll call it a day. Another adventure in front of me here. Who knows what's going to happen to this tree? This was a $7 purchase in the discount section at the favorite nursery, and so not a huge loss if it doesn't happen. So $7 investment. We'll see. We got the roots not bare rooted. We just removed this guy. We got to take care of him next. Got some pumice in there, 100% pumice. Dunked it into the pond, got it good and wet. We're gonna put it on the bench for right now, take a couple pictures, and then we're gonna put this thing so it does not get below 40. We do not want these few roots to get injured because we have a couple more days in the next week or so where it's gonna be down to like mid-20s for lows. So I don't wanna risk that at all. So let's go put it on that bench. That does it for another episode. Hey, thanks for watching, everyone. Have any questions, let me know. And you want to put like down there, that would be fantastic. Subscribe if you haven't. Tell some folks about the channel. And you know what? Take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and I'll catch you on the next one.